Hello everyone, and welcome to the next WARNO League Grand Final, the next best of 5, as we are finishing up Division 3 today, and we have Lockdo, aka Luke, and Fat Kid making it in here, both in a close semifinal, but all of these semifinals have been pretty great after relatively decisive quarterfinals, and yeah, Luke and Fat Kid here now in a pretty interesting matchup in the first game as well, so this should be pretty exciting. You can find the pick and bans in the chat. First map gonna be Airport with 37th versus 20th, then Black Forest 4th versus 9th, then 5th Panzer on Mount River versus the 31st Tankova, and then 6th versus 4th Division on Vertigo, and if you get to the final, game 7th on Omen versus the 2nd Panzer Grenadier. And yeah, let's get into the action here. Chloride, what do we have here on the deployment by these two?
Well, we have a relatively standard 20th Polish Pancerna push here. We are seeing a 3 Rozpecialny doing a Special Forces assault right into Elena, aka Echo, aka the middle position as it's generally called, with a pretty significant mechanized push here with 4 infantry squads with the BMP-1s, all of them up-vetted because these are, of course, assault troops, and a T-55 unit, all of them following, basically trying to open up the game with a pretty sizable attack into Elena. And on the opposing side, we have investments into weapons teams, decent enough amount of recon, including the recon gunship, always a great tool, especially when Honkerusses are involved, which are soft armored vehicles, no armor, only 4 damage, so can be bursted down pretty easily by the gunship. And surprisingly, Fat Kid is going here with a 2 T-80s, which is a significant number and probably cutting down on potential early airplay. Having those tanks and then driving them into the urban area. Now, I believe this position, if you look at the place where the T-80s are going, is designed to counter an early attack into the basically a mech all-in into the red side's high-rises at the 2 towers region. But as this area is not being played out by Blocto in the opener, Fat Kid is gonna have those things basically attacking from the opposing side of Elena, with the lighter attack moving in from southwest, and then the counter attack for Fat Kid going in from the northeast. So Fat Kid's Rasvedka Saperi and Grenzer, the East German border guard units,
I
are
like
going
the
to be
MiG-21 here. Mi-24K directly in trouble. It doesn't quite commit though. Oh, it doesn't quite have the turn. Mistake there. Slight miss micro by Plocto at the beginning of this match. The Me-2 US moving forward. Mi-24K does have time to land here, so no chance for Plocto to immediately get the shutdown there. But at least will stop the Mi-24K from hunting down the Honker Ruse immediately, so that is a small little win as well. We have a couple of Strela teams here coming up as well, so there should be no chance for a direct kill there. Ooh, Osa immediately getting a hit, and the Mach-21 takes the wrong turn and does get shut down here. Good kill there. Me-2 US flying directly over BTR-60 will get shut down. Does draw another shot out of the Osa there. And the Honkers do go for a pretty aggressive opener. Me-24 still alive here though. And that is the big issue for these guys right now. The Strelas not at the right spot to really help out there. One of them now getting forced closer to the point, but I'm not sure that it is going to make it there. And next MiG-21 already being bought there. Yeah, Plocto paying the extra price here for his failure in the miss micro in the beginning. The Mi-21 gets the kill this time against the Mi-24. Osa might find another hit here, but likely not a kill. Yeah, gets another hit, but out of range and gets shut down there. Ooh, Fagott finds the Osa. Okay, Plocto fully back here in the trade situation. That kill on the Osa is a nice one, forcing Fat Kid to immediately invest into more AA here as well if he doesn't want to face a big threat to his T80Bs.
Yeah, the T80Bs here are, as I was saying, that they are in an interesting position. They're basically preparing to counterattack while also supporting the Conquerors and the Recon and the high-rises, which are designed to prevent the enemy from using the direct road to reinforce Elena. So basically, Blocto is now forced into delaying the reinforcements just a slight bit, and also Fat Kid has
Ooh,
a
here
nice...
comes the S21. 22 gets a kill. One T80B goes down. Blocto, yeah, immediately realizing that the Osa left an opening, taking it and getting rewarded for it. Losing a couple of Honkers and Strellas here on the side, leaving them in transport partially. So situation here is still not fully under control, but BMP1s plus T72M should be on a good way of also pushing back the other T80B here in the middle.
Yeah, if you get an early kill on an enemy Osa Rakub, you absolutely want to invest in early fighter bombers, as we saw Blocto doing here. The T80 here is the superior tank, absolutely, and it has a great position to basically try to challenge the enemy. Fat Kid's weapons teams are performing pretty well with supporting the Rasvedka Saperi, and the points discount you get. Oh no, there's
another bailout
once again.
Another bailout hitting here right in one of the finals. MiG-21 HE here coming in, trying to deal with the tower. Does not quite get the hit either. Next Osa on the way, but the missile too far away. At the T-72 bailout here though, really painful. And the BMP on its own can't keep the T-80B at bay, so the T-80B likely gonna be able to find a kill here. The T-80, the issue with the BMP-1s of the Polishes, they don't have any smoke, so they can't assist the T-72 in that regard either. And one more here goes down. Next T-72M is on the way, but it likely won't arrive in time here to save its brethren. Gas supply truck already is on the way there, but the shots start coming in from the T-80B. Engine damaged. More T-72s being bought here by Blocto, but this bailout really hurts.
Yeah, Blocto using a Honker Rus in the southeast. I think actually Blocto was juking out all the missiles from the Conquerors.
Osa under fire. Osa gets taken out by the SU. SU does get hit once, but does survive. T-72 goes down on the ground, but Blocto is persistent on the killing of the AA, wants to keep the bombardment action going up here at the same time. The ADB still standing. BMP1 here fighting a HGM duel and is not going to win that, as the T-72M number 2 has arrived. More M1s now coming up. The M doesn't have smoke itself, so that leaves it a bit in a weird situation against the T-80B as well. It can't disengage easily.
Yeah, that T-80 really is just holding this for Blocto. Of course, for Fat Kid. The bailout does work pretty well, but the weapons combination of the 7.62s and the 30mm weapons teams are very successful here, actually dealing with these forces on long ranges. And we see the Polish, despite the Polish getting a lot of really nice kills, they have not managed to actually press the infantry. And the reinforcements for Fat Kid are all just streaming in.
Yeah, but the S-32 got the T-80 now, so there's only one coming in now. There are 3 T-72s here, and there is a little supporting AT here for Fat Kid. Issue for Blocto is a bit the recon situation right now. All his Ross speciality in the middle got eliminated. Only one in the Feodor point currently assisting with the spotting situation, so that is something that has to be solved in the near future. But currently the air spam plus T-72s is what's going on, and it is successful, as Fat Kid hasn't found a solution yet. Finally brings a coup around, has an Igla coming up as well, so this MiG-21 and Su-22 train won't go on forever, but it already has paid off in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, the 2 T-72 M1s are gonna have to be really decisive here for Blocto. MiG-21 getting a kill here, and but second Motorstrelky Met is immediately right behind this. But yeah, these I think Blocto is still kind of on the clock here, not just because of the 200 points deficit. The Conquerors is getting rearmed by Fat Kid, so it can theoretically start threatening those T-72 M1s on long ranges right now. probably not going to get the hit immediately, though.
MiG-21
Oh, no, this guy's got the hit in front of him. Oh, no. Cast the curse.
gets another hit
Really
there.
bad cast the curse right
And
there.
the ADB here heavily stressed out as well. So, yeah, the T-72M1 going down on the other side, that is really bad. But the TADB could be fought by the two T-72s that are there. And Plocto, not engaging with both at the same time, though. Gets a route. Oh, he could follow that up right now. He's going for the SU-22 kill instead. But SU-22 still needs to hit. Gets the hit, though. Oops, not here yet. Fat Kid really paying for the double OSA loss. And the T-72s would now be in charge if they would actually see a single enemy right now. But the investment into air, leaving Plocto without any recon around, the overstacking of all the Rospecialnies in the same 3 buildings right next to each other means that they all got overrun at the same time, and that currently leaves Plocto without the spotting capabilities to really make the best usage out of the T-72s.
Yeah, but also the Coop was on a move order. The Coop could have actually got a shot against the Su-22, and that's why you always move your anti-air with hunt commands, unless you're turning off the radar. But so far, Fat Kid here, the thing about Blocto, like going against this weapons team, is that the weapons firing at the weapons teams.
Oh no, the MiG-21 super stressed out, still gets the kill against the Mi-24V. The Mi-24V fails the T-72. T-72 at the same time also taking out some supply trucks here. The trades are going well for Blocto right now, but because of the heavy air investment, he still does lack the pushing power right now. And Fat Kid plays at least a positional deployment here pretty well. Conquerors and 7.6mm MG teams are in a decent spot. T-72 pushed back here, but they still have good line of sight on one of the T-72 now. On the 7.6mm MG for the T-72s. They get hunted out by the Conquerors though. And no artillery here just yet. MiG-21 still trying to do it on their own, but they are super risky against an enemy that has a coup, because one hit and you're out. The hit doesn't quite come yet, but Osa and Igla get a shot up as well. MiG-21 gets hit. Coup out of ammo, so the MiG-21 number 2 will get through as well. The first one already got it conquers. Second one, oh no, doesn't have the line of sight. Gets hit by the Osa as well, so reload time will be long. Here comes the Su-22 as well. But there are actually no real targets right now because the spotting is not quite there. There is a new TADB here in the middle, but I don't think the Su-22 has good enough spotting to really hunt that one down. And yeah, the situation here for Fat Kid isn't great in the trades, but position-wise, he is in a fine position.
Yeah, I think Fat Kid has been compensating for the fact that the Polish are so good at filling the map with stuff quick and with decent price, medium price, low price stuff, that the weapons team have nicely compensated for this. And there's also the fact that these M2s are very inefficient firing at like cheap and easily replaceable weapons teams. And also, while they keep firing, they do always reveal themselves. And meanwhile, Fat Kid has managed to, despite a lot of the losses, both on the AA and the heavy tanks, the AA and heavy tanks are still coming in.
Oh,
and,
another Osa goes down. Igla doesn't quite get the hit. Coop not getting a shot out here. The Su-22 tax keeps on coming. MiG-21 got shut down, so the trade in the end not terrible for Fat Kid, but the Su-22s stay dangerous. The Mi-24 just barely surviving there, down to 1 hit point, but will get out. Those are pretty helpful here to hold the line, but next Su-22 already coming in has a T-80 on lockdown, and the T-80 trying desperately to disengage there, gets hit, but it has the 17 frontal armor, and it does not survive, as the second one does get the hit there as well. Mi-24 does survive for now, but MiG-21 coming in only for the Igla. I thought it would go for the coup. It comes in for the Igla, it kills the Igla. Coop gets another shot out. Can it at least get finally the revenge here? There finally goes to MiG-21, but really, really strong airplay from Blocto, punishing the Fat Kid's investment and losses of AA. Just not quite decisive enough with the AA investment there. Fat Kid not coming in with 3 AA pieces at a time, rather bringing them a piecemeal, and that leaves you vulnerable to those counter attacks if the enemy invests into as much air as Procto does, so that they can then overwhelm your air defenses. And yeah, the Mi-24 being still alive, that is a nice saving grace here for FatKit, because that can stop any pushes over the open field. There is currently no AA for Procto. Otherwise, if the Mi-24 would be down, I think Procto already would be out of the trenches and over the open airfield, and I think he would absolutely push through there.
Yeah, I mean, the Piekutash mech are going to go out there. They're going to be fired upon by the weapons teams, and then the vehicles are going to move in there, and then Fat Kid's vehicles are going to reposition themselves to start firing at long range. And if Blocto still has any proper bombers around or AT planes, that is when the next phase of this match is going to be decided. If that T-80BV is going to be taken out, whether or not the bombers survive, this attack could work out really well, because those PKMs, even though they are nice at their duty, the job that they're doing, they are not really sustainable if the enemy actually starts getting close. Blocto is bringing out artillery, which is going to be a nice way to deal with at least the Concourses, though Osas and Coups do have enough mobility and armor to not really be immediately threatened by them. The very wounded Mi-24P is now moving into position, at least showing itself for the Rozpecialny GSR, which is not in the best position to currently spot the enemy, but does actually spot the one of the Osas. So there is information if Blocto really wants to risk it all and do a big attack against those anti-air vehicles.
He has two Danas coming in, so this positioning of all the AA at one pot is pretty dangerous.
Yep.
But it keeps the S-22 away. T-80BV gets hurt heavily, but no follow-up attack, and the S-22 does pay with its life this time. A bit of a waste here at Blocto. I would have expected an immediate follow-up move, but the T-80BV is allowed to disengage, and the artillery now has gotten pings onto the enemy AA, but obviously FatKit knows that he has to keep all of this moving, so all the AA is repositioning. The Rozpecialny will lose line of sight here, so in a second they won't quite know where Danas should fire for this, and Blocto's still really lacking behind in the recon department in this game.
Yeah, and in general, if you are doing air attacks, those air attacks have to have some kind of a map control or ground game based effect. If you're just trying to get kills with your planes, the enemy who is investing into anti-air is going to win that fight. And especially if the enemy has so many Osas and Coups as 39th has already. Now, Vozdika firing, actually targeting on long range the supply trucks and the T-72s here.
Ooh, but Coups and Osas are under fire. So. Osa barely gets out alive, but the Coup does pay for it, so yeah, predicting the enemy positioning there really well with the Danas, so Danas find good value. And yeah, the Gwozdika on the other side does find a couple of hits, but no real kills. T-72 building on the way as well. Conquer is revealing itself now, and the Danas, absolute beasts as well when it comes to killing off enemy units in buildings, especially if they have guided fire. And that is the case thanks to the Specialnies. They're in pretty good spot. Here comes fire against the Lamia and the Conquerors, and that should get the result done as well. So I like Blocto's siege here decently well for the long haul. The issue is just you have to keep up the attacks high enough that the enemy can't just get endless numbers of T-80Bs and BMP2s into the position. So I think the Danas can achieve that, especially if you start killing a bit more AA, and then your bombers and SU-22s can come around again. And yeah, artillery here finds the first Conquerors immediately, so that's a good salvo there.
Yeah, and as we saw earlier, the Conquerors missiles carried by BMP2s and also very numerous with the ground teams, the infantry teams, they can one-shot kill a T-72 in its side armor. And this wide front line that is being built here, FatKid, I think, has a really nice defense for exactly this kind of a threat. The Polish want to have the numerical superiority and the fire support superiority due to their cheaper units and their ability to bring out high veterancy stuff. And now with the 3 mortars being sent in, already supported by 2 heavy artillery pieces, there is a chance to completely cut off most of the enemy fire and allow the forces to actually get into the zone. But there is so much defense in depth. There is extra recon. There are extra angles for ATGMs. There are infantry units. I just don't think that Blotto is necessarily going to be able to isolate the enemy enough to get the advantage with the T-72s. The M variants and the BMP ones don't have smoke, so that is automatically going to give a bunch of kills and damage to the defender. And with the PKMs just slowing down enemy infantry more than and just pushing down their cohesion, it just makes them way worse at storming these positions. And when they storm those positions, they are going to have to deal with the BMP2s and the T-80s. And at this point, the OSA and KUB network with the Su-27 fighter supporting here, I am going to be willing to say that the Polish Air Force doesn't really stand a chance here. Like there's going to be few attacks, and they're going to have to be crucial, and they're going to have to actually build some space for the T-72s and BMP-1s to start getting stuff done. And here we are now seeing 2 MiG-21 bombers going in, and yeah, one of them is just blindly attacking one of these buildings.
Yeah, you can really see the issue of the lack of recon here. Both of them not really gaining any value, and first one goes down, second one goes down here. No real value generated with that. KUB and Strelas trying to get the Su-27, and they don't quite do the job there. And the Danas are also a bit too far away. You want to have them a bit closer, as they don't have the best accuracy, and the closer they get, the better their accuracy gets. So I feel like the Danas are played a bit too far behind the front line, and not really quite getting the hits that you want them to get. So the Conquerors team, for example, still survive. Ever since the first salvo, the Danas haven't really achieved their duty, and yeah, the rest of the recon here currently not really in place for Block, though. He doesn't have any recon right in the center, so he doesn't really see the enemy infantry moving on the other side. He has one BRMR with the tank plop, but he will need really good smoke play to make this T-72 push work. And currently, he also isn't really achieving critical mass with those T-72s. He is only at 3 at the front line. 2 more... Oh no, it's even T-55As there coming in. Yeah. So yeah, this is not the critical mass of T-72s that you want, that can just one-shot everything that comes through the smoke. This is not quite achieving the point that you want to be at in the Polish late game.
Yeah, it's the, like, I think Fatkid had, like, predicted the enemy attack and the enemy unit composition really well. Just saving on not having enough infantry, not having really any infantry outside of the Rasvedka Saperi and the Grenzers, and then investing heavily into those 2 tanks and allowing those 2 tanks to basically be the counterforce required to deal with the Polish opener mech attack. And the PKMs were good enough, and the grenade machine guns, they were good enough to weaken the Rozpecialny, to not allow the Rozpecialny to really trade upwards. And despite Blotto getting a really nice amount of kills, and
Su-22 finding another hit, one of them getting shut down, the other one will escape. So another T-80BV going down here. The T-72 is now starting to push, starting to try to help out with this whole situation. Dana firing onto buildings blindly again, but not quite getting the hit here either. But the Conquerors on the other side, for some reason, is disabled. So they eat the damage. And the next Su-22 here coming in. T-80BV smoking off too late, but doesn't get hit. Hoops get the hit in return, so this unit gets damaged. And here comes the Su-24 cluster. And if that can find a blob of tanks somewhere, those will go down. Finds a pretty good angle here. At least will hit one. Okay, will only hit one. Won't quite kill it. And the MiG-21s here try to get the hunt down, but they won't achieve that either. So here comes the push in with the T-72s. Infantry finds each other in the smoke. Fatkid overextending there a bit. and getting revealed. The TDPV goes down here as well. Plocto's push is starting to work here into the corner. Has gotten a good amount of kills. The TDPV overextending, BMP2 overextending as well. The T-72s did stay alive, did keep their distance well. Finally one goes down here. BMP2 finding a side shot with the Conquerors. But fire support here still in a pretty good spot for Plocto, and the infantry keeps on marching. Helicopter is a bit of an issue. BMP2 goes down as well. And finally another TDPV arriving here for Fatkid.
Yeah, the Mi-24P is doing great work at long ranges. The Strela's not going out there with the main attack. It's really just a little mistake that is Blocto is probably regretting a lot. That Conquerors was turned off, I think, because when it's in the same building as the enemy, you just don't see the marker. If that Conquerors was out there, I think those BMP2s would have gone off way earlier. But even then, now most of the mech forces are nicely at a safe distance here behind the Strela and with decent recon with the BMR, but the reinforcements and the wide angle, the concave that is being built here with the Grenzers giving perfect spotting for Fatkid. The T-80 BVs are going to be able to attack from two different directions.
But the Fagot
no,
only getting a near miss on the Picotta, getting good hits there with the RPG 7VMs at the same time. Fagot will get another shot here on side armor. T-80 of Fatkid in a lot of danger. And it does go down. Great hit there for Plocto. ST-22 cluster will take out the T-55 Ace here, most likely. One goes down, other one heavily damaged, and no real danger for a T-80BV on the other side anymore. But that side shot there, really important. Issue for Plocto currently, no resupply for the T-72s that are still on the battlefield, damaged. And the infantry got shoot up, and his recon once more not really around to help out. The BMR did go down as well. So he's once more absolutely blind.
Yeah, that was not the worst case scenario for Blocto, but I think we can all see that the objectives were not achieved. 2 more T-72 Wilks, 3 more infantry squads, and Strela 10s coming in here. Danas are keeping up their fire, but just the concave formation around here, the numerous reinforcement routes, the defense in depth relatively here for Fatkid, it is paying off. The AT probably has under fire currently, but it is uncorrected fire as there is no recon around. And also, as you said, it's coming a little bit far away, you know? Could be a slightly closer.
Yeah, Danas still, now switching to the Conquerors. Let's see if they can find that salvo. But yeah, a bit closer really would help out a lot with actually getting some hits on target. With the Danas, if you think you're close enough, always get 200 meters, 300 meters closer, and then you are at a good spot. And yeah, now the Conquerors under fire there. The MP1s and Wilks coming around once more. As you can see, the first 2 shots just not landing on the mark, allowing Fatkid to move out of there. And now the Danas repositioning. We have a lot of T-72s coming in. We have a good couple of BMP1s. Once more, no recon reinforcements here though. At the same time, Fatkid also slowly but surely advancing through the northern town, getting the Modvazhvetka into the enemy high-rise there for a second. Took out the Fagot team up there as well, so a repeat of the side shot won't happen. And we see him also now starting to reinforce the center again with more infantry, with enough T-80s to really hold the line. Third one now on the way. And the Mi-24Ps, the Mi-24s in general, have been a really great tool by Fatkid to threaten danger to the enemy that they have to constantly consider so they can't overstep their welcome.
Yeah, both the 80mm rockets and the 2,800 meter range missile, the Kokon missiles, both of them are just excellent on defense. They can get out there, they can do a lot of damage, they can suppress, kill some key units, and then just run back and land. And Fatkid currently, like, the defenses are not perfect. There are a lot of like load-bearing weak positions currently. Their supply is not exactly out there yet, and most of the fighting capacity, including a second Mi-24 AT and a T-80, are still in position. So if the attack happens right now for Blocto, I think it could actually be really nice. Some artillery hitting the targets, seem to be hitting their targets crucially here. But like Fat Kid is stretching the blob a little bit. Like the push on the north is a textbook way of applying a little bit of pressure and drawing your enemies' resources and abilities away from their main attack. But as we can see, this is some peak Poland here. Like all of the forces were like resupplied, replaced pretty fast. The BMP and T80 printers are still like solidly functioning, and especially if the smoke mortars and the artillery can just do their duty like 20% better than it is expected, I think Blocto here could actually start pushing through. Like a lot of T80s have already been destroyed. Fat Kid certainly doesn't have the ability to replace them as well as Blocto can replace T72s.
Yes, and the artillery here also hitting the T80Bs here now once more. And 2 of them currently damaged. Supply not really there yet on the front line to help out repairing them. So this is a pretty good moment for a push. Smoke mortar is currently not active. I think they should change the angle a bit deeper into the enemy area. Not going... Yeah, that is a really good smoke position there in my eyes. And second one is good as well there on the buildings in the middle. This is where you want to smoke this time. Cutting the enemy line in half. Forcing the enemy to move a bit forward if they want to defend, or run away and leave you into that you get into the zone. One issue that I have with this push right now is that there is no single CV here right now with this push. So even if Blocto gets into the zone, he doesn't immediately start getting points, meaning that he has to hold on for it for longer. And I think what you want to do here as Blocto is not necessarily get the full victory over the zone, but just get ahead of the points, like holding it for 3 minutes, be ahead in points, and then see how it goes from there. But for that, you would need a CV with all of this. Even a tank CV would also be helpful just as support for your tanks, getting them one more higher level of veterancy. But all of that isn't there. The artillery here, though, is great. The smoke is good. Infantry of Fat Kid has all but eliminated. Fire support really well done, and the TADPVs now forced into the engagement, and they all have to be careful how they engage. They get the first BMP1, but 2 of them are already pretty nicely hurt, so the T-72s would have a decent chance of just overwhelming them and killing them, and Fat Kid really has to play carefully. Oh, but double cluster!
Counter cluster!
The double ST-22 cluster and the positioning this time. Still a decent spacing here by Blocto, but it seems like this time around T-72 is gonna die. One of them goes down. ST-22, can it find retaliation? First missile does miss, second missile does miss. 2 crucial misses there. Really unfortunate for Blocto. Does find a T-80BV on the retreat, but 2 still standing. Mi-8 helicopter actually coming in here. The Mi-24 could now rotate south as well. The rockets of the Mi-8 already annoying enough though for the Wilk. And the Wilk here in a lot of danger, does go down. Second Wilk forced to retreat, and this is not working out, and Blocto now starts to run out of time.
Yeah, and currently Fat Kid has complete recon supremacy here. Only the T80 is really spotted by anything. The like T80s, T72s can just push forward, but there are enough, especially with the 2 Mi-24Ps, the ability to punish them if they just push, if they're just a little bit too curious, is significant for Fat Kid. And losing those MiG-21s, which are the perfect helicopter killers, losing them in the earlier game is really punishing right now for Fat Kid. And the fact that the Strelas are actually attacking alongside the rest of the mechanized forces, but this time there is no recon.
Yeah, and no infantry to deal and reveal the Motorstreltsy, no infantry to force the Motorstreltsy to fire. Mi-24 number 1 goes down, but T-72 is here eating some heavy shots already. SC-22 trying to rotate around the side. Does not get a shot out though. Strela still pushing further, still in range of the Mi-24, does force a route there, does get a hit. But the push of the tanks currently not working. The corner smoke does work for now, but the mortar is under fire here as well. Strela trying to push closer. Kranzer doesn't have AT directly, so they can push a bit more, but they have to be careful of the BMP and all of that around there as well. BMP getting towards the smoke now, the corner smoke play here, the classic, just trying to do it that way. But there is a BMP on and the TAD BVK on the other side at the same time, so it will only be a +1. A +1, if it goes the whole way now, would be enough, but keeping it up the whole time won't be easy. More T-72s coming around here. Dana's currently not engaging. That is a big mistake. It should just immediately start firing towards the BMP-1 or towards the Gwazdika on the other side to stop it from hitting your mortars, but neither is the case. No infantry next to the BMP-1, so the Motostrelkis can't find it in the smoke, and the T-72s here now forced to engage again, getting good hits against the T-80 BVK. Strella's disengaging. Engine destroyed. That would be a perfect target for the Dana. Yeah, Dana both aiming at it. T-72Ms coming around as well. T-80 BVs engaging against the Vilk and the M. But the BMP-1s are needed. The T-72Ms ones are needed. And especially infantry would be really important. Another CV should be bought as well to replace the BMP-1 if it goes down, as it will take a while here for a CV to arrive again. So if that BMP-1 goes down, you might not have the time to get another one to the front line if you don't buy it right now. And yeah, that redundancy not being built in here right now for Blocto is big. He doesn't have a CV in the south either, and Fatkid, we have seen that the last time when Fatkid played this map, is always a bit eager to attack Boris, and he will try with a late game push here as well. The BMP-1 is in danger. Motostrelki find it finally in the smoke, do get the kill there, as no infantry was around to cover for it, and the lack of a CV right now on the battlefield, really the biggest mistake in Blocto's whole strategy, the whole game. This is not something that you can allow 6 minutes, with 6 minutes left in the game. That is something that you have to always check for, and that really might cost him the game here, as if he would have a CV up, he could do the smoke corner play here, likely again, but this way around, it's not going to happen, and he is still behind too far, so that even if he buys a CV now, it likely won't arrive in time, and this is really breaking him here completely now.
Yeah, and Blocto attacking a wide front is showing that BMP-2s here are basically firing at the side armor of those T-72s on the sides, which is just inherent weakness. The mortars had a full ammunition. They could have kept up the smoke and tried to prevent this. And at the other hand, the T-72s have 20% less 20% less rate of fire than the T-80s, and one less penetration, and even with the M1 variants, which have equivalent armor to the T-80 BVs or Bs, they just
next
are
cluster coming in, and this time around the T-72Ms are clumped up. One goes down, one goes really low, and yeah, the M1Ds here won't arrive in time. They are still 3 minutes out, and 2 minutes on the front line won't be enough here to get Blocto in the lead, and this is really the big mistake right now, that there was no CV. He buys another one now, but this is all too late of an investment. This is something that is not allowed to happen, and really that is something that you really have to fix when you play WARNO, that you always have the eye on your CV situation on the battlefield, and especially in the last couple of minutes, that you always have a replacement CV around, and if need be, just use a tick like in the last 10-15 minutes to buy that CV, because you can't win a game without them. They are the crucial unit, and if you don't have them, it doesn't matter how many trades you get, you're gonna lose the game here. And you also are way less threatening if you don't threaten a tick. Like, the enemy has to can ignore your units way easier if you don't have a CV around. Plus, it also boosts the combat efficiency of the units around it, so it's not completely useless in that case either.
Yeah, and as we can see here, a lot of the T-72s have, for the most of this time, most of these attacks, been at low or at least medium cohesion. The low cohesion does not hurt their rate of fire due to the T-72 autoloader, but it does significantly lessen their combat effectiveness. And if they get a rout, that's basically like a free damage for the enemy anyways. And yeah, the T-72 wants to be fighting closer than what happened here. The the tiny amount, or not a tiny amount, but like the 5 to 6% damage increase or that the T80 has, the one more health that the T80DV has, all of these are most important when fighting at longer ranges, and these tanks just lobbing shots at each other. Not to mention the fact that on these long ranges, the T80s also have the Cobra missiles, which generally did at least an extra cohesion damage before the T-72s even could get into the fighting range. And not to mention, of course, that the range and accuracy differences for the T-80s. And generally, the way to compensate for this is just to drive forwards, get a lot of smoke out, get a lot of numbers out, because on the close ranges, a T-72 can penetrate and basically two-shot kill a T-80, or at least stun it down. Yeah, now side shot from the Conquerors destroying one of the T-72 leaders. And even if they get in there, they're basically surrounded by motostrelki of all different kinds of motostrelki. Even the Mi-24D is under fire by a close deployed Igla.
And the M1D
I
getting
really...
into the corner, but the issue is it will need the full capture or 4 minutes of time, and it doesn't have that time here now. It's only 2 minutes remaining, so there is no threat here, and yeah, the Motostrelki just gonna push it with the RPG here in a second as well. So yeah, this is something that you always have to consider. Always have a CV on the front line to be threatening, and trying to get a couple of points is itched out, especially on a map like this, because being the guy that is on the defense is so much easier than being the guy on the offense here. Like, Fat Kid hasn't done a single offensive move this whole game. He has gotten 197 points, and he has hunkered down on this
for the whole... We're seeing it now.
Yeah, he gets for the final charge in the south, but in the end...
39-minute attack finally happening.
In this general, Fat Kid here got the earlier take and went up 197 points, and he just played it full on defensive since then. And Blockdo did not get enough ticks out of the couple of offensives that he did that he ever forced Fat Kid into the offensive, and that is really what cost him the game here, because Fat Kid could just take the trades and could just take the better terrain and work around that. But Blockdo did have some great moves. The airplay and a couple of the attacks were well executed, but you need way better execution if you're the one constantly on the offense. Defense is always easier than offense, so this does cost him here. The two tanks in the south for Blockdo actually setting up a decent defense, but he is still 60 points behind, and that means he will lose game number 1 here, and Fat Kid will go up 1-0.
Yep. And Fat Kid, Blockdo actually counterpicking Fat Kid here. So this is this was pretty nicely predicted here from Fat Kid's part. So I was saying earlier, I think the 2 T80 opener was really crucial. Like, the 2 T80 opener was more than enough firepower to fight off the BMP-1 and the expected BMP-1, T72, and Ross Specialny attack. Investing into a more conventional defense of like BMP2s maybe, or just the Motostrelki Metis would have not worked out as well, I don't think. Like, Blockto was doing some great work, especially early on, trying to get these wider front lines up. But after those early engagements, there was no position from which to actually start attacking. There had to be the tarmac attack that we just kept seeing, and those tarmac attacks are not really that easy to actually like win when you are attacking some of the best defensive tanks in the game, which are the T80PVs, and division that can just get out Conquerors on vehicles, Conquerors and infantry, and the Grenzers, the Rasvedka Saperi, all of these just always existed out there in the front line and provided complete recon coverage for Fat, or recon supremacy for Fat Kid from the start. The Grenzer is an interesting unit in that it's pretty cheap. It's only 40 points. It doesn't have an AT weapon, but you get a lot of them per card. And, recon is most valuable when they're just spotting and not revealing themselves. And those factors, alongside the fact that the helicopters could just stay alive after Blocto invested so much in the first 10 to 15 minutes in those air attacks, and predictably 39th, having some of the best air defense tabs in the game, did manage to stop that. And there was no bleeding, there was no crack pushed into the dam that would allow the T-72 and the Polish hordes to ride through this. And I think at that point, like, the 20th Pancerna, after losing the opener, was put into a really bad situation, and could have only really won that with some really well coordinated combined arms and smoke mortar play.
Well,
And
or just
even
a tick.
if that would have happened, yeah,
I mean, he was in the corner long enough to have a tick for the 2 minutes, and then he could have forced Fatkit and be like, oh yeah, now your time to shine. Now show me how good you are on the offense. Because we also saw Fatkit is fantastic on the defense in the semifinal. Fatkit is not that amazing in the offense. So, like, I feel like Blocto here not really playing the opponent that amazingly. And yeah, they have to step that up, because if they just let Fatkit defend, like, they're not gonna get him here in this final. So Blocto has to find a tick, has to find a way of forcing Fatkit's hand. And yeah, we'll see if that happens in game number 2. Quick break, guys, and then we're gonna see if Fatkit can be taunted by Blocto in the offense, or Fatkit can hunker down one more time here. So here we go. Game number 2. Blocto versus Fatkit. And Blocto now up with the 4th motto here, as we have interesting infantry matchup on Black Forest, the map where we get infantry matchups quite commonly. And the division that we have on the other side is a division that we have seen a couple of times now lately again. 9th US Infantry, a division that was super annoying and had a couple of outright broken units, I would say, at launch, but they got reeled in, and the division dropped off the radar for a bit with that. But a couple of small buffs have brought it into a pretty balanced, but still really unique kind of playstyle. And it's going to be interesting to see how that fares against the relatively strong forward deployment, and then into just efficient combined arms 4th Motschützen here on the other side.
Yeah, the especially if you point out one of the better units, I think, which is going to be one of the keys to this matchup, the light rifles law with the AGL transport, the grenade launcher transport, 100 kph deployment with the Humvee, and the light rifles law unit. You don't pay extra for an expensive AT weapon. You get 2 light machine guns, and you get a sniper rifle. And this is a designated marksman rifle specifically, not the long range ones. And these units at 9 man are, I think, enough to fight any of the DDR forces outside of, I think, the Fallschirmjägers. I think Fallschirmjägers, with their special forces traits and their one upvet, 1-to-1 will be able to fight the light rifles, but that's why the light rifles have
not the normal Fallschirmjägers, but the Sprengtauchers, the special forces.
Yeah, the Schwerrunners, not
the Sprengtaucher,
the ones with
Einsatzteams.
Yeah, maybe the 8-man ones, where the Metis 8-man ones, but even then, that's a 70-point squad because you're paying so much for the Metis. So despite the famously very nice forward deployment opener, one of the 4th being maybe the only division where you can kind of use special forces units as just line infantry if you don't count the Rangers or maybe the commandos in CLKA. And these are going to be basically trying to punch a hole into the opponent from which the T-55 and BMP-1 forces can move through. And this being a map where games happen pretty slowly, generally, not a lot of like 2-point zones on Black Forest, and a lot of defensive positions on every side. Having the forward deployment is pretty nice, but also if you can what's more important than the infantry opener, in my opinion, is the ability to keep the attacks up. And this is something where I think ninth is significantly more powerful. Like their M60s are good against the stuff that fourth moto can bring out, but ninth is reliant so much on expensive ATGMs, which are going to be a little bit overkill and against the stuff that fourth moto can bring out. And Blocto already is investing in a bunch of weapons teams, which are kind of performing really nicely in the meta right now. The Fallschirmpeil Fagot, for instance, the forward deploying Fagot missile is great in trying to deal with the enemy who is going to try to rely on unarmored transports for fire support. And what was the air situation? I'd say that the air situation. Yeah, I mean, ninth gets Eagles, doesn't it?
Yeah. Ninth also has the Pave Claw, has good F-16s with shotgun missiles. So the air situation there is good, but the other side has good AA, has a couple of MiG-29s together with efficient MiG-23s as well. So you can hold off the enemy air force relatively well. But your helicopters have to come in once you have a decent setup of AA. And the anti-helicopter situation with the Avenger is pretty good. On the side of 9th as well, Stinger team's pretty good too. And we have an interesting TOW 2 here, trying to go for... Oh no, it's not trying to go deep in the south here. The M150 just going into a normal spot there with its TOW 2. F-16C AA coming in. The little helicopters trying to find a good spot to maybe hunt down an enemy Fallschirmjäger team with the 20mm autocannon. One of the most class cannon level helicopters here, getting a good hit against the V-50s. Sprengtauchers, oh, they're not getting out of the transport just yet. Oh, this is dangerous. This is really dangerous. They're getting close here. MiG-21 does get the kill, but there is the F-16C AA2 right behind it, and it gets missiles on target, and it does get the kill here. F-16C coming out ahead of this all, moving around to the battlefield, will go for strafing run onto the Sprengtauchers here, assisting with all it can do, and the Vulcan cannon really doing its job. Sprengtaucher in a lot of trouble here already. M60 on the little dune buggy here. Will have a take a while to kill it, but the F-16 coming around for another run, and there goes the first Sprengtaucher. The center here around Bravo is relatively well equipped on the side of Blocto. The south is taken efficiently as well, so the split of the map is going by standard settings. Sniper is going down in the center here at the same time, but 9th is getting the kind of concave around the center that you want to get as 9th.
Yeah, the important to point out that 9th was the counter pick here, and with the concave and with the fault, these very cheap GSR units, the FOLTs, which are basically almost unarmed non-fighting units with the best recon that you can get around here. They're going to be excellent value, especially if 9th wants to start getting artillery up, which I think is pretty realistic considering this matchup here. And the fact that FatKit has now gotten a very mild points lead, and the NG rifles, I think, will probably push this points lead up to 100 at least, or the BMP-1 is going to take its sweet time moving into Charlie. But TOW Cobra moving in to do long-range defenses. TOW Cobra is especially good against T-55s, considering T-55s don't get a smoke and are completely vulnerable to the ITO missiles that the TOW Cobras carry. And the long-range infantry defenses with a number of M60 weapons teams, as well as these Humvees with all those grenade machine guns, seems like FatKit is really just preparing to hard counter what's going to come here. Blocto is Blocto bringing out the first coup. I would not be surprised if we were to see see also like Akatsias early on to try to deal with or even Vostikas to try to deal with the numbers of infantry and soft targets that FatKit is currently relying on and is going to be relying on for some time.
Yeah, sniper team here in the north, getting good damage against the SPW and the Vulture Maker, but might just get barely gunned down. Good kill there for Block though. Though National Guard Toe there in a bit of trouble as well, but gets assistance from the Toe Cobra. MiG-29 coming in though, gets the Toe Cobra. T-55 also only one shot away from killing the Toe National Guard, so big victories here in the north for Block Toe. The MiG-21 bombers that have already been relatively efficient in the first game, trying to come around again. Doesn't quite drop though, and does get shut down here by the enemy. The infantry in the town for Block Toe here doing a decent job, but the AGL on the other side, the little Humvee with the AGL doing a decent job, killing off infantry. Next MiG-23 here, heavy investment. There are a lot of stingers in that area, so flying in like that is really dangerous. One more stinger shot coming out, not quite getting the hit, but oh my goodness, Block Toe is on the air spam today. Going for the Avenger directly, getting the kill there. But another Avenger in the north will get a shutout. Stinger will get a shutout as well. First hit, the second one is a miss. The MiG-21's here living a dangerous life, and Block Toe in general, I'm a bit surprised how much air spam there is coming out of this guy.
Yeah, Ninth can deploy like this kind of light air defense really quickly. Like they can 90 kph deploy the Chaparrals. The Avengers, of course, have 100 kph deployment, and even though the Avengers are also kind of expensive at 95, so it's kind of value trying to kill them. But the Stingers, especially when 20 points of the 70-point price is going to refund itself quickly, and the Stingers are deployed at 100 kph as well. I don't think it's the best investment trying to get those MiG-21s going out there, but Fat Kid is kind of smelling that this is a point to start the engagement. Light rifles law, fighting at longer ranges. T-55 is the fire superiority force here right now. The M60 is also moving in. Oh no, another MiG-21 going in. Gets a perfect kill, destroys one of them.
Flies over Avenger and Stinger here once more, really playing with fire. Once more gets it. Next MiG-29AA here coming around as well. Will fly over the Stinger and the Avenger as well to kill a recon helicopter. Oh, this is really suicidal behavior here by Block Toe. Does get out alive once more, does get hit once more though. So those units will be out for a while. The T-55 in the middle did a good job with the fire support. That is, I think, what you have to play around. SPW 70s and T-55As just being a bit heavier fire support and a bit more survivable fire support than what the enemy can offer with the AGL launchers, and then just gunning the enemy down that way. The 7.6mm MG teams here of Fat Kid get reduced relatively quickly as well. T-55A once more coming around, trying to deal with the AGL, will fire with its MGs towards the 7.6mm MG as well. Engine destroyed actually on the AGL Humvee here. Engine burning, so this one won't get away. Is the south in Charlie is secure right now, and T-55A here starting to take out the next 7.6mm MG. T-55A in the north finally gets found by T-55A, TOW 2A, and we have the first COCV GLH here as well, the redneck high-tech weapon with the little truck coming in with two of the best ATGMs in the world in 1989 put onto its trunk.
Yeah, this is if airplane mechanics would gain experience in this game, this could be a very, very high IQ play from Block Toe, trying to get them up early on. But I think this is just kind of validating Fat Kid in keeping up the Stinger and the Avenger push. And with the BMP-1s and T-55 AM2s now, with the light mechanized transport, the BTR-70s also, it seems like this is the transition into light mechanized is probably the best way to go. There are those NG TOWs at only 16 penetration, which are both cheap and very effective against the stuff Block Toe is bringing out here. But even those are reservist units, so they can be bursted down at even long range.
Ooh, MiG-29 wins the air duel there as the F-16 did a weird dive there, just trying to strafe run stuff on the ground, and the coup helped out getting the victory there. MiG-29 getting a nice success there, and Fatkid wasting away the F-16 that was really helpful against MiG-21 bombers. That is really a big mistake there, and maybe Fatkid feels more pressure in the middle than there really is, and felt like it was necessary to give that fire support, but his light rifles should have this all under control. There is no big investment here for Procto into the middle. Couple reinforcements coming in. The play in the north is also relatively limited. The Avenger and the CUCV GLH there giving good fire support as well. But yeah, the center fight here is still a pretty slow burner, and fourth currently not quite getting enough fire support onto the front line. Only one T-55, and you usually want to have 3-4 of those with a couple of SPWs around as well to really burst down the enemy infantry quickly, kill off the AGLs immediately, so that then your infantry can just push on against stressed out remnants of the enemy forces. And that is currently not the case, so yeah, the air spam really costing Procto once more than they gained out of it, and I feel like this was the same with the MiG-21 bombers in the first game as well.
Yeah, we have the Spring Talkers holding the front line here, reinforcements, the Motorshoots and SVDs, which are
but
some
yeah,
of the best
the AGL's just chewing through that so quickly. The MiG-23s and MiG-21s now coming around again. The MiG-21 not finding the hit, both flying close to the Stingers in the north again. One hit there coming out. The first bombing run did deal decent damage there, getting a good couple of the light rifles, getting one of the AGL Humvees as well. But more fire support still around here, and Procto still not quite having critical mass to push anywhere. Brings his own 7.6mm MGs now, brings a Rapira to the battlefield as well. I would like to see one or two more of the T-55s around to really give that fire support advantage, and SPWs here now starting to do the work as well, just gunning down the engineer flash.
Yeah, MiG-23 AT plane, which is quite a rare sight here, and it is going and diving the N60, getting shot at by an Avenger. Not the most efficient buy, I would say. Probably not the best to invest into unreliable airplanes when the ground game, especially in the middle here, could actually be very worthwhile. Oh,
MiG-29 gets the kill!
Perfect shots.
F-15 there, coming in a bit late with the turn, so the MiG-29 had the first shot, got the immediate hit, forcing the F-15 back, and yeah, bit of a miss micro there by Fatkid, getting punished and immediately losing the next fighter. So Procto keeps the air superiority, and if he can find the Avenger and Stinger teams, maybe with artillery, maybe with just fire attacks, that could work out. The issue currently is that the Mod-Schützen always overextend a bit in their position, and then the amount of fire support here for Fatkid with all the AGLs is pretty good, and currently does get a good amount of kills. So that is a bit of the issue. That's why I would like more T-55s to help out dealing with that. The one that we currently have is not quite enough on its own. MiG-21 Biz HE this time around not getting a hits and finally gets killed. Avengers finally do their job and avenge their fallen comrades there. Whilst in the south, still nothing happening. That point still completely uncontested, but this is not what this is all about. 150 points once more here for Fatkid, and Fatkid once more can play the defensive gameplay, and he's doing that really well in the north. He has found a good defensive line, and he has set the line there really nicely. And in the center, he is still contesting the center, but he's not really pushing either. He's just trying to hold that line there and trying to be annoying, coming in whenever Procto shows a bit of weakness and overextension. But in general, Fatkid plays once more the same gameplay as in game number 1, so it's going to be interesting to see if it works out here as well. I don't commit to anything. I am ahead here. It's your job to actually do anything gameplay, and it's seemingly working out quite well once more.
Yeah, I'm afraid that I really agree with you about the T-55s being kind of the key here, that there should have been just a mass number of T-55s, mix them up with the upgraded ones that can actually deal with long-range targets, and use the
MiG-21s being wasted away here once more. Procto really not taking the Stinger seriously, and that shows. Got the COCV there gunned down, but loses his unit there. Toe2 got a hit against one of the T-55 AM2s and got the kill there as well in the middle. And so yeah, the lack of T-55s here is showing, but they are still trying to get some more damage done here. Toe2 will find a BMP1, but T-55 engaging now as well. Gets the kill, gets killed by the M60 immediately though. And yeah, we have fire teams here now for blocked in the middle. We have Fallschirmjägers coming in as well. And there we go. 4 T-55s now being brought up towards the middle. That is a good investment, but by now, FatKit also has assembled a good amount of M60s, which are basically the pendant to the T-55 on NATO side.
Yeah, it's this buying 5 Fallschirmjäger squads, following it up with 4 T-55s is exactly what I kind of want to see here from Blocto. But this should have happened maybe just 5 minutes earlier. All the investment into all of those bombers, all of those points that are not being part of the actual fighting force, and instead are getting whittled away and by the Stingers, forcing Blocto to just delay the attack as we see this perfect, amazing concave being built up by FatKit. And now with a single lone fighter bomber once again going in here, missing the shot and getting attacked by some Stingers. This is very, very inefficient way to deal with this. The strength of 4th Moto is not in the singular units. The light rifles and the M60s are superior here. Outside, maybe the T-55 AM2Bs are better, but anyways, like Blocto has had a chance here of actually building up a nice, efficient fighting force with a lot of supply, with the coups behind them, with the BMP-1s giving out numbers, and this is just has refused to do this, letting FatKit to just keep up and fight the easy fights. And now there are more toes, both the big ones and the small ones are coming in. Artillery is coming out, the mine clearing vehicle to finally break through enemy infantry and close ranges. Even the VAD's air defenses are used as support guns here. And this is, I just feel like Blocto missed the moment and used the momentum badly.
Yeah, MiG-23 not quite finding a hit here either. And Fallschirmjäger get destroyed here. And yeah, the air spam here being just, I think, the overinvestment. Not quite having enough stuff on the ground to really get a take online, to really get a push online against FatKit once more in this game by just trying to play the KD game a bit too hard, and also then realizing that they have to push and then running into FatKit's good defensive positions, and FatKit also playing it really flexible in this one with Knife, like you are supposed to play Knife, so giving a bit of ground here, but whenever there is an opening, also just jumping in right away and getting any space that Blocto offers. So really playing a fantastic game with Knife here, and yeah, playing this, I lead you out gameplay really, really well once more, as Blocto currently is basically on the stranglehold here, as they are all boxed in that one space. Their airplanes are now not efficient anymore. That's the issue when you try to play so air heavy, that there is just that moment when the enemy AA is good enough and all the investment that you did into air just becomes absolutely nullified. And we are at this point right now here for Blocto, and this is a world of pain here for the player of Red now to try to crawl out. It's possible. There are still the spots where Ninth is vulnerable, and it's not the heaviest division. If you can't punch a hole into them, they will have hard times filling the gap. But FatKit should be pretty comfortable with the position they are in.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, the later, because the good thing about fighter bombers and air, and especially stuff like MiG-21 BIS HEs, is that you click them and you buy them, you click them, and they're out there doing stuff. It's very quick to actually use. You can't just buy those bombers when your forces are already built up and attacking. If you buy those bombers and try to get them to start killing the enemy before your forces are actually done, that's a huge hit on your tempo. Not a huge hit, but it's still a hit on your tempo. And like the ability of bringing out Totus and the Kakvis and just straight up long range defenses for ninth means that the T-55s are not really a potential late game force, and these close range infantry fights without the fire support will automatically be won by the Americans because they just have more machine guns and more guys, really, and also more grenade machine guns. And Blokto has played himself into a situation where realistically, once again, the only place to actually engage is the enemy's strongest position. The northern fight, that is maybe some of the most powerful Foxtrot defenses up north that we have seen in the league so far. Just taking out the enemy's siege positions and building a secondary concave there to even threaten the enemy reinforcement routes into the middle. And even though Blokto has a Fallschirmjäger preventing the enemy from doing an infantry flank in the south area, interestingly, Blokto is now building up forces near the sawmill, and they could, with some decent control and decent luck, could actually get into Alpha. There is nothing on Alpha right now outside of this light rifles law, which is going to basically run out of the law missiles when the T-55s get out there.
The issue is that this area is outside of the AA range. The coup in Bravo doesn't really assist you on Alpha, and Ninth can just react there with a quick couple of planes. Plus, it seems like there are a couple of units now coming that way as well. Yeah, some TOE-2 launches, some ITOs. Like, yeah, FatKit really not planning any aggression here. It's just completely locked in on the Ice Spam ATGMs because you just gonna suffer here and you just gonna leave me at my 150 points and never come back. And yeah, it has worked out in the semifinals for him, and it has worked out in game number 1, so can't really judge him for keeping on playing the playstyle that works for him this series. And it's Blokto currently who has to figure out a way out of this, and Blokto's air lockdown has cost him too much to really be flexible on the front line right now, and this fight around Bravo is just not what you want to have going on as the red player.
Yeah, so Fat Kid has now spotted the infantry incursion towards Alpha, and grenade machine guns have been positioned to deal with this, deal with the infantry if they try to go over the top. Meanwhile, also just one extra NG TOE, which is going to be covering this line and getting nice side shots in if the enemy tries to move into Alpha via the road. And with only one Strela 10 moving in to do the defense, and the MiG-23s, already a horrible unit, by the way. Not one of the worst AT planes, straight up. 35% maximum accuracy, despite having very good damage and very good range. Just the lack of ECM and the lack of just killing reliability or killing capacity or whatever. It's not a good airplane. Generally, people play it as a last Hail Mary against heavy tanks because Fourth Moto can't really deal with them any other way. And in this matchup, sending them against very replaceable National Guards M60s is just not the way to go at it.
Comes the push in the south, and we have a couple of nice kills here, but the TOE-2 launchers now are going to be the issue. Recon infantry will have to help out spotting that. The Sprengtowers are moving forward. The T-55s are not quite in position to help out the BMPs. So the BMPs are stuck in a fight that they don't want to really be in. T-55s only now starting to really get into position. BMP-1 not quite finding the kill. And yeah, here comes the Pave Claw. And yeah, using its first ATG there. Has good strafing capabilities. Coop does find the hit there and will force it out. MiG-29 has to be careful. Oh wow, MiG-29 being wasted for strafing once more here against an armored M150, and likely just gonna die to it again. Ooh, no, not quite. TOE-2A goes down in the north as well. No artillery here once more for Blokto, and I feel like artillery would have been the better choice instead of air, but it's air instead once more here. The T-55 AM2s doing a decent job. Issue is, once more, there is no CV directly pushing in with this, and if you give the enemy enough time to react to this, they will push you out of Alpha again, and you need the 150 points. So Blokto once more lacking the side for the point situation, And Cobra here immediately coming in. Strela 10 would need to move forward here now with all of this. SPW 70s coming around. ITOs, National Guard TOs, and M60s helping out. And there comes the F-16 cluster. Ooh, not quite getting the drop. Coop gets another shot, gets the kill. And we have a big swarm of MiG-21s here and MiG-23 ATs coming around again. They failed to hit anything. Cobra goes down though, as the MiG-23s fly directly over all the Stingers, but somehow survive.
Oh no, the light rifle in the town is destroying the second motor Schützen squad.
Motorschützen not loading, not quite getting the kill there. But Motorschützen SVD super stressed out. T-55s here getting hit by the enemy as well. And the Sprengtauchers in the town, they would be good now if they had a CV right on them. And if the TIC would go live with all of this, but the TIC is far away, the CV only now starting to move in, and that's right as the reinforcements and the next ATGM wave of the enemy arrives. So that BMP-1 likely not going to make it in. Clockto once more leaving the CV just a slight bit behind.
No, the leader, the BMP-1, the leader, no. Yeah. Very good movement from Fat Kid right there. Very good movement. And hiding that unit and then putting it back there.
The M19 grenade launcher, little Dune the Bug is here doing a decent job as well, dealing with the enemy infantry. T-55s here trying to help out with the fire support. National Guard TOW there, likely gonna go down in a second. And good dodge there away from all the northern part as well. T-55s now taking out the M19 Dune buggies, but ooh, one remaining with just half of a hit point, still taking out the Motorschützen. So this push here is not quite getting there, and no tick still here for Clockto, and that is once more the big issue here, especially as with the heavy investment into the south, the Bravo point has been pushed into a position where it is contestable once more for Fat Kid. And yeah, Fat Kid playing the positional game here really well, leaving the ball in Clockto's sector and just being like, yep, you have to come for me. And Clockto is pushing in, but is not able to get points out of this. CV unit on the way again, but none on the front line right now. It's still 13 minutes, so if a push into Alpha works, that still would be good enough. 150 points, really not all that much, but then the last game it was only 197 points as well that helped Fat Kid to the victory. So yeah, really playing it minimalistic when it comes to points, but going into the defense mode really well.
Miss Micro, if those T-55s would move in to cut the reinforcement road. Oh, actually, so good luck for Blockto here. Fat Kid not realizing that it was safe to deploy straight into the city, so not punishing Blockto for that Miss Micro. But yeah, your key, if you are doing this attack, this is one of my favorite attacks, is the town attack and Alpha. If your main priority, your number one goal is to secure and block reinforcement routes. Secure them for yourself and block them for the enemy. And yeah, right there, if those vehicles would have gotten in there, I think Blockto's chances would have just plummeted. But yeah, some reinforcements are coming in, but they are coming in on slow BMP-1 transports, and they are going to take their sweet time to actually reach the fighting site here. And all that time, the M60s, 4 M60s are coming in to challenge the T-55s. The Dragon missiles on these ranges are excellent and stunning and doing damage against Blockto's tanks here. Not to mention, of course, that this being so close to the enemy spawn, enemy reinforcements are inherently way easier, way safer, and enemy air can operate here without really risking getting near the cube.
Yeah, and Blockto really, I feel like the MiG-23 MF investment was what kind of killed this push in the south. If that would have been another 300 points into this push in Alpha, this would have worked. But Blockto really, once more, just like in Game 1, maybe investing a bit too much into air. And in Game 1, he got more out of it. In this game here, he really didn't get that much out. Like 9th EOS is not a division that you really actively want to air spam. You want to use helicopters pretty aggressively against them, and you want to hit a couple of their key units, maybe with some airplanes, but the amount of air spam that came out of 4th here really was pretty detrimental to the efficiency of the front line and the capabilities of actually putting some pressure onto Fat Kid. And yeah, Fat Kid just really good when he is the one that is in the lead and really going well over just dismantling every single move that Proctor does, as he is absolutely in a great spot now with all the ATGMs, with all the fire teams, like playing this current meta build quite well, of like getting some points and then just hunkering down with ATGMs and fire teams. And this is something that Flocto has to adapt to if he wants to get some points here. And I feel like he will have to do that in game number 3, because game number 2 here looks all but locked down. This is a last Hail Mary push here with the Mi-24s. How much ammo do the Stingers still have? There's one with only 1 shot in the middle. There's one with 4 shots here. That Mi-24 push actually might work out. The M60s here are the problem, but the Mi-24s have at least Falanga piece with the 20 pen, so they can deal some damage. But they don't kill the one Stinger team here in the front. The Mudshits are a bit too late, so likely one of the Mi-24s will go down. No more Mi-24s coming around. Like, if you want to go this build, I feel like going 3, 4, 5 Mi-24s is what you want to do as for Mudshits at this point. Finally, the Stinger team here will get overrun, but Mi-24 is really low, and it's only 1 now, so the M60s can't quite get killed by that. And yeah, still Mudshitson not quite in the zone here, not quite on the tick. 9 minutes remaining, and Flocto running out of time here and running out of space to do it with, as the reinforcements of Fatkid coming now all to this area, because Fatkid knows if he can hold the corner of Alpha, he wins the game, and Flocto's forces are just not quite strong enough to do that push.
Yeah, I think Blockto, like early on, we talked a lot about the investment into air, but I think early on, when Blockto was kind of very low on units in the middle, Blockto get overextending with the Motorschützen units and the Fallschirmjäger units and the T-55s, just doing engagements and taking engagements that were not really worthwhile at all. And I think that kind of, in my mind, explains why the heavy investment into those airplanes. If the idea was to do early aggro and use and going against the Stinger wall, just sending in all the planes at once, so the Fallschirmjägers could move in and try to prevent the enemy, basically move in from the middle to the town, and then keep going there by sending in your cheap mech, cheap infantry to actually fight this on the long term. But with none of those engagements really going the way that they were supposed to, and that air investment being so much more expensive relatively than those Stingers were, I just feel like it just was not the correct strategy. There, like I said, you can just buy the fighters when your stuff is already on the ground and you're attacking. You don't have to wait 3-4 minutes for them to travel in, and that is a tactical advantage that makes the MiG-21 fast, cheap, and easily bought. One of the best bombers in the game, despite all of its shortcomings, and just getting them out there. Like, if you're facing recon Bradleys, let's say there's an M3 Bradley cavalry fighting vehicle, and you get that thing early on with a MiG-21 bomber, that is great. You're suddenly taking like 120-point unit out of the game early on. That is worth it if you can take out artillery, Kub or something, but just sending them after light rifles units, you're just playing into your enemy's hand. You're removing your like actual trump card of being able to win infantry fight when it actually matters, and using that card to just do standard engagements, and that's not going to go well, even at the Division 3 level when you're in the Grand Finals.
Yeah, and BMP-1, T-55 here, last desperation push, everything moving in, but there are too many M60s, there are too many ATGMs here coming around. MiG-23 finally gets a hit. MiG-23 MF-AT finally getting a kill there. M60 on the ground, not quite getting the hit. And this is not looking so well here currently for Blockto, as the corner is still blocked by 2 light rifles. M60 goes down. Oh, now it would be a small opening, but he can't quite maneuver with the Mudshits to that spot, and If they move out of their current point, then yeah, the M60s and the light rifles will find them. So still no time to move in here. Now the bombers would be great. Like, this is the moment where you would love to have some planes to throw at the problem. But they all have been used up early on in moments where you haven't created executable actions out of them. Like, this is the issue with planes. Planes are not there to grind the enemy down. Planes are there to create the positions that you can follow up on. Artillery is there to grind the enemy down. If you want to play the grind game, buy artillery, don't buy planes. Long game planes usually don't go cost efficient, but they are there to allow your other units to go cost efficient, and that wasn't the thing here. They didn't really exert that pressure that allowed other units of Block to maneuver into the right spots, and this is something that you don't quite see on the first glance when you use air, because you see the bomb explosion and you see the kills, but you're also gonna lose the plane relatively quickly usually, and then if you have only gotten one bombing hit out of it, chances are you haven't paid up, especially against a division like the division on the other side here, like 9th, that doesn't have any unit that costs over 150 points on the ground. And yeah, the T-55s here are in trouble now, and the game is pretty much on lockdown here. 4 minutes 25. Really, I kind of despise Fat Kid's playstyle here. It's this just taking 150 points and then letting the enemy do all the action, and just being the full-on reactive gameplay is not the most engaging playstyle to me, but you have to really commend him on how well he executes it, and he has executed it really well in game number 1. He has executed it really well here in game number 2, and Flocto will have to find a better solution than throwing planes at the problem to get him in game number 3.
Yeah, it's the Gulf War really has destroyed people's minds. Like, we have to remember the reason why like Saddam's army was completely destroyed by NATO in the 90s was because NATO had like every plane in the world. Okay, the United States post-Cold War going against the older generation air, it was never going to be a fight. If you had two equivalent forces, which is kind of what we generally simulate in WARNO, doing the Gulf War stuff, it's just not possible. Like, the Gulf War was won when the United States managed to build like the Federal Reserve System and started like getting the bonds out to Japan and Europe and doing the World War II rebuilding. That was when Saddam Hussein's army was actually destroyed, not with the bombing campaign. The bombing campaign was just the externality of the economic system. But you cannot recreate it inside the war. It's my point here. We don't have the Federal Reserve here. We have the European Central Bank in WARNO, and just like in the real life, it doesn't do anything.
And yeah, M60 is here doing a really good defensive job in the end there, because they were in good spots. They had only one job, and that was holding the line. The line they did hold, as Blockto was forced into charging in there. And yeah, the bombers actually did get some decent kills here, but they didn't create actionable positions on the ground. And whilst they were doing the bombing run, the outnumbered infantry of Blockto got shot up by the AGLs and co. So all the traits that they made on paper, they lost on the ground by not having more ground units there. So in the end, those MiG-23s and MiG-21s didn't really pay off. And yep, this did cost Blockto the game there. Overinvestment into air, guys, is not the way to go. I love airplanes as much as the next guy. Only Fortitude fans might be liking planes even more than I do. And he's the only one that can do the air spam in Iraq, because he has the direct secret line to the Federal Reserve that most of us don't have. But yeah, don't do that if you're not Fortitude fans. And yeah, let's see how this goes in game number 3. If Blockto can find a new strategy.
Just to put this in context, the MiG-23 MF bomber is like 5 motorshoots and infantry squads, not counting the transport. 5 infantry squads is the price of the MiG-23 MF. Like you want to have one of them in the ground, just it's a big deal.
Yeah, so let's see how this goes in game number 3, if Blockto can find a working strategy, or if Fat Kid gets a clean 3-0 here. Quick break, and then we're gonna be back.
Also.
So here we go, Blockto versus Fat Kid. And on the left side, we have the 5th Panzer. trying to do it for Pluck though here. While Stratgate bringing in one of the T-72 bunch. And luckily to all the lovely 6.2 voters, we will get even more of those. Hey, more T-72 BMP2 slop coming around in the near future, but this is the specific one of the 31st here coming around for Fatkid. And we have Mod Vajretka and the B-Man here showing up. B-Man, really the cool unit here. This is the one thing that makes this a bit different than the other guys, and this is important that this unit shows up, otherwise 31st would be really boring. But the B-Man actually is pretty cool. Can smoke, can fire direct rockets. 24k here going around quite nicely as well. And yeah, we have on the other side a big fat boy from the get-go as well. Leo 2A4C showing up. So this is going to be interesting, as this is the unit that hinges the whole hopes of Proctor's opener around, as he wants to get signed, and he wants to get it aggressively. And if the Leo 2A4C falls, likely is not going to get it.
Yeah, and we can see Luxes are being used as basically assault vehicles here instead of recon vehicles, which, you know, they're really fast. They forward deploy. They have 2 armor and a smoke, and also like an autocannon. The problem is it's not the greatest autocannon. Actually, I think it is the worst autocannon, and it's not the same as having the Dutch M113 CNVs, which actually can put out a surprising amount of damage early on. And also with the Dutch opener, you do generally have a bunch of other units going out there, other recon units if you're doing a recon rush. Right now, here we see Blokto doing the Fernspears, which are, despite being special forces, quite defensive and anti-infantry. They are best used as spotters because they're so expensive. You don't want to actually waste them in combat. And so if the one Fernspear gets taken out, 2 Lukes get taken out, suddenly the Leopard 2's potential effectiveness could go down significantly. And we are seeing once again, Fatkid is investing into the weapons team screening strategy. Conquerors, PKMs, and Commendatura military police with the security trait, so they get a little bit of extra recon when they're standing still. Very cheap choices and very defensive deployments. Not actually even contesting Anna, really, even though Anna is the safe spot for the red player here. And Fatkid obviously wanting to play this passively, and with the tanks being ordered in to the south crossroad, basically south of the middle position. This I think it's pretty clear that the plan here is to wait for the enemy to do whatever kind of aggro they are doing, and then with the T-72s already kind of in position and protected by the Cube, you build up your forces either up top or in the middle and do some kind of a pincer attack at some point somewhere. Or potentially even you could go to Olga, considering there are 3 recon units as well as 2 tanks. So they could probably go to Olga if the situation presented itself. Fatkid getting great recon information with a recon gunship here. Recon gunship opening fire on the Fernspear in just a moment. What? Nope.
Ooh, good dodges so far, but no F4 here at the opener against the division with Me-24 is a big mistake. Luxus using smoke, but both at the same time. No, don't be so wasteful of your resources. Think about the environment, Blokto. Think about the environment. Don't waste your resources like this. As the Luxus now moving forward. F4F does come in. Oh no, it kills itself! Oh, I haven't seen that in a while. Oh, the F4F actually hits both missiles on the Me-24K exactly as it is on top of it and kills itself there. Oh, I haven't seen this in a while. Eugen kind of fixed it by changing the timings on the missiles so that they usually should hit at a slightly different timing, but sometimes you can, with dives and a bit of a weird angle, you can still achieve it, especially with shotgun fighters. And yeah, both missiles there hit, and
Oh no, look at the Luxus! The Plamia is winning the fight against the Luxus! The Luxus managed to push through the Conquerors as the Conquerors was out of position, but the two Luxus were so close to each other. The AoE damage from the Plamias actually pushing through the 2 and 1 armors. And now the Lux is getting potentially getting under the minimum range of the Plamia.
But also not being able to turn the turrets here quickly enough. And now they drive past the Plamia, and Plamia shares to see its rear armor. Oh, this Lux is dead as well. Plamia winning the fight, and at the same time, Fat Kid here coming in with the weird move, coming in with the double T-72 push towards Olga here. And whilst trying to hold Anna, trying to play it around this way. Once more, he is the one with the fastest CVs. The slow CVs on the other side, not quite getting into the middle. Luxus in the north, trying to get the fight here. And Conquerors here, trying to get the Lux, trying to get the kill.
The weapons team strategy here, the defensive weapons team strategy, working pretty decently. Now, Fat Kid is getting some trades up north and is moving to the back point of Olga, slowly but steadily. And Leopard 2 is being brought to challenge the forces on Olga, and with decent enough micro and support, it could beat the 2 T-72s. But meanwhile, Blocto's force in the middle, especially the Leopard 2A4 and the Jaguar and the Gepard, are not really doing anything. Maybe they will. When the Fuchs get some screen scouting done, maybe then they can follow it up. But up north, we're hearing the PKMs are fighting against the Furnspears and actually managing to stun the Furnspear. This is not perfectly controlled by Fat Kid here. There is the Rasberka BMP-1 that could actually participate in this, and the Commendatura are not in position to fight. Okay, now the BMP-1 is moving.
Yeah, Fat Spears being used as combat force in the north, really, really wasteful there. And it seems like Plocto is feeling the pressure here as the Leo 2's pushing in the south against the moderate jet guns, against the double T-72. Coop pushing with all of this, so the BO-105 likely gonna die there. And yeah, that push in the south is seemingly working out. Plocto losing the Luxus in the north, losing the Luxus in the middle, so they didn't really achieve all that much here. Leo 2A3 engaging on the Mod Vajevetka. BO-105 not getting the kill onto the Coop as the second missile bound to hit. And now it seems like Fat Kid will get to take online in the south again. CV in the middle here, not moving in for block though. And that means that the southern push will get to take online here for Fat Kid. And that means Fat Kid will be once more in the position where he can just play defense. And yeah, that is not what you want to see as Plocto here, because yeah, that was already a pretty good strategy choice.
The recon disadvantage. The T-72 got the first shot off on really close range, and the Leopard not being able to fire back. Second T-72 gets the kill here. Oh, huge loss here.
Jaguar also getting too close, getting hit by the recon BMP-1, gets the kill at least against that, but the Rachka Saperi spotting it, so the T-72 still can find it there. Pioneer Carl Gustav getting shot down in transport. Leo 2's trying to push in from the north, but yeah, because the Fanspayers did get wasted away here a bit, Plocto once more in a recon disadvantage. Lamia coming out here in the rear. Leo 2A4C not really having any recon. T-72. Oh, the Jaguar does miss. Oh, unfortunate there for Plocto. And the T-72A gets the kill there. Another Leo has to be brought up. A couple of martyrs coming out here. This is not looking good for Plocto. And a martyr 1A2 coming up in the north, trying to get into a position.
Yeah, the Leopard 2A4 and the Jaguar, the main investment in that opener in the middle, expecting that big middle tank fight that is so often happening on this map between tank forces or tank divisions, now only trying to cut off the reinforcements of forces into Olga, which is, you know, pretty inefficient considering there's a lot of stuff happening all around the map here, and not even engaging the T-55 AM1s, which I think could be spotted if the first pairs moved a little bit on the middle. And now Rasberka Saperi fighting on reasonably close ranges, mechanized force coming in from Blocto to try to fight this, but and the Fuchses, no, another Fuchs is getting beaten by a Plamia here. Plamia and 20mm AA guns. And with the supply not being on target, the T-72As are going to basically reverse right into the Leopard 2A4C in just a moment.
Doesn't get a shot off yet though. Conqueror's coming around here. And it's actually Plocto currently up in points. Leo 284C gets an angle. There goes the first unit there. Conqueror's team under fire, gets gunned down. Does reveal the Leo 2, but no unit really around there to deal with it. Relsi gets shut down as well, so Leo 284C already starting to pay off nicely here. Commandantura there, directly unloading on top of it without any AT. In a bit of a bad spot as well. BO105 will force the T-72A into worse positions as well, so the Leo could find the kill there as well if it goes for it. BO105 doesn't quite find it. Leo 2 should move now, should go for the hunt. It's not going for the hunt though. Plocto could just push this whole thing down. But Ural does get missed as well. A bit unfortunate with the BO105 there. And it allows Fat Kid here to get a setup again, as the Leo 2A4 actually rotating north, as Fat Kid is setting up a bit of a push there. Commandantura running into the enemy there. Plamia not able to help out. Modrajvetka gets gunned down in the south. CV finally coming in here for Plocto as well, as the Conquerors will unload into the building there. Leo 2A4 trying to get into a good spot. Jaguar getting into a good defensive spot there as well. AA situation here, not great yet for Block though, so has to be a bit careful there. Outside of that, situation has stabilized, and he, for the first time in this whole series, isn't behind in points. So that is something that looks up. At the same time though, the northern flank also really needs some help. Units are on the way, Jaegers and the Leo 2, but they need to get there relatively quickly as Fat Kid starts to smell the weakness, and Plamia moving forward, T-55's moving in as well. So the Leo 2A3 needs to arrive there in time and start shooting some of those guys down.
Ooh, T-55 could have taken a side shot against the Leopard 2A4, missed, and now was shot by Leopard 2A4C, most likely going down here in just this second. But yeah, a lot of investment coming in from Block, though, maybe slightly too much, considering the actual continuing attack towards Leonid on the southern flank is not really that realistic. So getting that Leopard 2A3 leader instead of just a standard leader could prove to be a bad decision if this leads into Blocto basically attacking this now prepared defense with the Iglas and the Commendaturas and the supply and the Conquerors already out there, an extra leader even managing to rescue itself just barely away from the West German tanks. And now the actual attack here, Streltsy, Plamias, Vostika doing fire support. Once again, the Upvetek Vostika, the hyper micro light howitzer on close ranges with really, really good aim time and reload time. And they're getting good engagements here. The Leopard 2A3 not really in position and also doesn't have the greatest HE damage anyways.
The 30mm grenade launchers here really doing a really good job there in this whole series. Grenade launchers have been doing a good job for Fat Kid. The infantry gets on top of its minimum range here though, so the Plamia this time around, might get got. CV does go down. Leo 2A3 currently not finding a way to help, and the Jaegers push to the deep wide kick. Do they keep moving? Blocked with the miss micro, so the Plamia actually still can't shoot at an enemy unit. Consequently, is here not in a good spot, and the Streltsies are now deep enough that the Leo 2A3 here is in really big danger. Showing side armor, showing maybe even rear armor here coming around. Streltsy not quite having a line of sight here just yet, but it's at you helping out. The Jaegers going down. Jaguar going down in the south, as Plocto is on lockdown there, and it seems like Fat Kid might get into the northern point now and might get a take up again. Leo 2A3 in big danger. Smokes off in time here to get out alive. Most likely BMP2 still around, still can't fire on it. The Leo 2A3 running away. As currently no Conquerors flying towards it. That is surprising. Leo 2A3 trying to get away alive here. CV supply truck already on the way. Marder gets gunned down though, so Blocto currently wasting away his northern forces against the numerical advantage there. And yeah, as you pointed out, the Leo 2A3 investment in the south maybe a bit over the top, and maybe an extra unit in the north could have been a lot more efficient to really hold that line. And a couple of miss micros in the infantry fight there, a couple of mispositions with the infantry really costing him. And yeah, the fire support weapon tools of Badkit here, that gameplay that we see a lot in the meta currently, is working out quite nicely. Commandantura, Conquers, and the MG fire teams or grenade launcher fire teams just doing the job.
Punishing the Leopard 2A3 as it was just slightly in sight of the Streltsy squad. Yeah, that Leopard 2A3 was way too close and out of position up north. Like, the zone was almost completely captured when that Leopard fired its first shot. And if you zoom out and look at the reinforcements, it's pretty clear that Blocto wasn't really macroing properly. And macroing in this context means just keep buying reinforcements, don't float your points. But when those reinforcements are coming, it's a tank, 5 infantry squads, a second tank, and Milan 2, all basically at the same time. And this just means that attention was not really paid into keeping up the reinforcement. They could have been out there, maybe even preventing that northern zone from being taken out. Now let's see if Tornado IDS can deal with these units clumped together. Complete miss, and that's not really even Blocto's fault. That was just a rotten luck right there. Not doing any damage, not even suppressing any of these infantry units. What do they load those bombs with? Can't be like.
Yeah,
anything dangerous.
T72 gets another first shot here against the Leo 2A3, forcing the Leo 2A3 once more to disengage and get back. And both Leo 2A3s here currently pretty stressed out. The third one already on the way. Blocto needs to preserve the infantry currently, that is currently completely outgunned and just fired upon by everything, and needs to retreat there for a while until his reinforcing units can help out with the fire support. Leo gets another angle here against T55 AM, and oh no, Milan 2 unloading into a bad spot. Jaegers and still under fire there. T55 finally gets got, but this position currently not that amazing. F4 fails to get a hit here as well. Panzer Grenadiers with a good flank with the Martyrs. I like that position. Milan 2 gets a decent hit. EMP2 here now finding a good shot against the Martyrs though, taking out the first one. And the Leo 2A3 is now starting to move again at the middle. The Leo 2A4 C in a good spot. T72 gets hurt. Oh, that could have Leo 2 smoking off instead of taking another shot. Not quite believing in the F4 this time around. They could have gotten a kill there if the Leo 2A4 smoking off a bit too early there, as the enemy was stunned, so they could have gotten another shot. And the Martyrs all go down in the north. Blocto once more pushing it into a good combined arms position of Badkit there. Not quite having the force composition up for the push. And in the meantime, Badkit getting a nice flank in the south. Badkit with a good setup of units here coming around, and Blocto once more lacking a bit of recon and once more getting his infantry blown up by the enemy fire supports on their own a bit too easily, allowing the enemy line of sights to work out a bit too nicely time and time again in these matches, and that is a bit of a problem here as well. T72 working against the Panzer Grenadiers. Panzer Grenadiers don't quite get the hit just yet. Bombing run there, not getting all that much damage. Once more tornado investment, maybe not the best here, but T72 finally gets got. Leo 2A3s at least all still alive. Issue is that they don't have any friends around anymore. Leo 2A4C in the middle still around as well, but only 2 more infantry remaining. Leo 2A4C there maybe could still do some work. Reinforcements are on the way, but the Leo 2s are now in a really dangerous position, and they have to consider their position. We have 6 Leo 2s currently on the battlefield, so this is a really solid force if you can get the reinforcements around for them. But oh no, T72 here once more shooting first, once more being the Han Solo, and does get the kill against the stress out Leo 2A4C there. Unfortunate for Blocto, but also Padkit getting repaid for having the CV with those, and having 2 vet on his tanks there, plus pushing around with recon. They're doing a really good job with the recon there.
Yeah, and the AT plane is coming out right now, but just a sheer lack of anti-air, recon, infantry, and there are some Jaguars, but ATGMs also. ATGMs are great against T-72s. T-72s are pretty slow, and most of the variants can be penetrated very, very dangerously by Milan 2s. Like all of Milan 2 can penetrate anything, but at 15 points, it's basically like super critical. T55 AM1s don't even have smoke launchers, but this aggressive playstyle and investing into just constant attacking is, first of all, kind of required when that kid is playing the way that they are, but also just the homogeneity of the forces here, tanks and infantry. Homogeneous forces can be countered by an enemy with a combined force, because that combined force probably has the hard counter somewhere in there. And not having the Leopard 2A3s only have 16 armor, which is pretty low for a NATO MBT or a modern NATO MBT. But they're really fast and agile, and they have really good stabilizers. So if you're getting fired at, you can just run back. You can just G yourself.
Another Leo 2A3 here getting gunned down by the T-72s. Has killed off the B-man, but revealed itself with that. The Conquerors and B-24s here around in good numbers. And yeah, the lack of recon here is just really killing Ploctor right now. Like, the Leo 2s don't really get the good setups because they don't quite know where the good setups are. Because, yeah, just a bit too much tornado, a bit too little fire support for those Leo 2s. If you invest heavily into...
Max range Conqueror side shot, one shot killed the Leopard 2A4C.
Yeah.
Oh, that was tragic.
You can't invest into 6 Leo 2s and then also invest into 5 tornadoes. This just doesn't work. You have to get with the bread and butter units as well. You can't just skip to all the little desserts. You have to get your proper meal in as well. And even if it's just a bit of bread and a bit of butter, you have to get that, or in this case here, a couple of Jaeger recon, a couple of more Marder infantry units that just screen for your Leos, because yeah, nothing is more frustrating than losing your Leo to side shots, but if you don't set up your Leo nicely, the side shots are basically always confirmed ahead of time, and this was exactly the case here once more. And yeah, this is not looking good here for Block though. It looks like the Fat Kid is on the good way of doing the clean swipe here, as the E-72s here trying to disengage away from the Jaegers, and they will be able to do so. And at the same time, +4 going on. The south is super open as well, as there's only a Leo 2 remaining. And yeah, really the usage of fire support and killing off enemy infantry units is what wins Fat Kid these games as well, as Procto pushes his infantries into mediocre spots time and again, and the fire support units, the grenade launchers of Fat Kid, always shoot them up, and then that's the bread and butter engagements where you get ahead in the KD, and then the fancy tanks don't really matter all that much afterwards.
Finally, we're getting a Milan 2 unit here, a little bit after their potential prime, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of like talking about military procurement with like normal people or fourth graders, where they're like, well, we need the best tank, we need the best fighter, we need the best assault rifle. What's a radio equipment? Artillery radar? I don't know anything about this stuff. It's like me, you know how sometimes you talk to like a 55-year-old who served in the military 40 years ago, and they will say that the military should cut off all the useless bureaucratic employees. Why do they have in the Finnish army? Why do they have so many paper pushers? And this is the reason. Soft factors, bureaucracy, supply, that is stuff that actually wins wars. We have again and again in history and in WARNO seen that the sort of heroic vision of or technologically superior vision of big tank and strong man just doesn't really factor in reality, because everything needs to work as a collective machine. This is why military, like, officers are trained in engineering, basically, is that everything has its own place. Even the little nudges and the bolts of the system have to be honed finely, not just the armor, not just the not just the showy stuff. And without those Milans that you can retreat behind, without those cheap Fliegefausts or Strelas that will keep the enemy gunships from actually punishing your overextensions, without those little PKM machine guns that will
Oh
win
no,
you
another
infantry
Leo
fights.
2A3 runs into a side shot in the north. And yeah, this is it. The Leo 2 A3s in the north were kind of the last hope, but we see another Leo investment here instead of bread and butter units. And yeah, Blocto trying to go a bit too quick into the late game here. At least he tried to go into the late game composition, but he just tried to get there by skipping 10 minutes of setup. And yeah, that just doesn't work out, especially if the enemy plays a pressure build like Fat Kid did here. And this
Yeah,
is a real issue here. And there we have the GG. Fat Kid getting out 3-0 here in the Grand Finals. And Blanco had a great run here. And I think he also showed really great micro in these games. But Fat Kid just showed that they were a bit ahead of the enemy there in the strategic sense for the gameplay and the matchups. And yeah, just pushed that once more into a great victory here. Clean 3-0 sweep here in the Grand Finals and a well-deserved victory for Fat Kid.
Yeah, it's the like Blocto here basically kind of went all in on the most standard strategy of tank divisions on this map, which is you send the tanks in the middle and then you micro and one side wins and earns control, and at the same time trying to get your infantry into the middle, which is the 2-point zone and thus most important. And like a player playing 31st should know that they cannot go head to head against the Leopards. The Leopards have better accuracy, better damage, better rate of fire, better speed. So very smartly, Fat Kid just bypassed this and sent the tanks down south where they could have kind of the tactical flexibility of decide what they were going to do. And as a result, the big leopard investment, the leopard and the jaguar and the gepard, those mobile forces that could be microed against the enemy in the middle, just didn't end up doing anything. And even with Fat Kid having limited forces up north, forces that could have been pressured away, the main force of Blacto was kind of stuck in the middle, and I think that this kind of presumptuous play style where people are kind of just trying to win on the fundamentals, on trying to win on micro and on basic unit composition, I think Blocto was kind of thrown off the horse when Fat Kid played around this. Fat Kid had once again very defensive deployment, very austere deployment, relying on those Comendaturas and those cheap weapons themes. And this gave a combination of map control and an attacking armored force that just Blocto really couldn't handle as well as they should have. The way to fight against this, if you ever face something like this in ranked, would have been to just reconfigure Blocto's forces and try to get a push going up north. Try to just take the units away from the middle and just try to keep up the aggression one way or the other. You could even theoretically just even sacrifice the back point of Olga if your attack up north goes well enough. But when you are in Division 3, this decision making takes a little bit more time, and the macro and the ability to keep up reinforcements when you're trying to figure out what your enemy is doing and you don't really know what is the plan that you should go with. I think that it snowballs, and in the end, it just looks like one player was, what the 1.5 KDR didn't happen necessarily just because Fat Kid microed better, but due to all of these cascading factors.
Yeah, and really a job well done here to Fat Kid. And thanks to all of your great support. That also means a nice $20 prize pool for Fat Kid. Also, big thanks to Fat Kid for the support in this season, for the run of the Fantasy League, and also all the other support with the lovely little WARNO Dispatch, little news series throughout the season. that you can find on playersdl.com and read up there. And yeah, with that said, we are finished with Division 3. Only Division 4 to be finished, which likely gonna happen in early 2026, as I'm going to travel to my hometown. I have a laptop with me, and I will have my microphone with me, so maybe we can cast it from there, but we will see how it all goes. But for sure in 2026. And then also, sign up for WARNO League Season 6 is going up tonight, guys. I'm gonna finish all the sign up information stuff tonight, and then you can sign up for it. Will start in January next year. So all of you who want to be in it, get yourself ready to sign up. And yep, see you all there in January. And yep, any final words from you, Chloride, here?
Not especially. I've thanked you before during the bigger Division 1 and 2 Grandfinals. So I would like to thank you once again, Protoss, for running all of this stuff. Protoss is always on time. Protoss doesn't flake on plans or any of that stuff. And I think he's a great example on how to run this kind of small little league very effectively and very responsibly. And I want all of you guys to appreciate him. Not that you don't already, but you know.
And yeah, with that said, guys, I see you all in the next one. And yeah, send you over now to Vulcan HD Gaming. Thanks for the kind words there, Chloride. And yeah, thank you for being my partner in crime throughout the season once more. It was an amazing blast. And yeah, let's send you over to some EU5 over at Vulcan HD Gaming, as yeah, that is the game that I'm currently addicted to as well, which is really not good for my pastime schedule. And yeah, I will also have
Yeah.
a finishing 2025.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to play Montenegro in Victoria 3, trying to build the great Montenegrin empire.
Yeah, that absolutely is a good goal as well. Yeah, Vicky 3 currently in a good state as well there. The latest patch has been a nice one too. And yeah, with that said, guys, see you all in the next one. Final tier list for 2025 for WARNO coming out in the next couple of days as well. So yeah, have fun with that too. And yeah, see you in the